Today I'm going to teach you, bar none, the best home pricing strategy to sell your home fast and for top dollar. But with all good comes bad, so the first thing I'm going to teach you is about the nasty underbelly of the real estate industry. For this pricing strategy to make sense, we have to understand the psychology and motivations of the players involved in this pervasive deception. Out of this, you'll get a clear understanding of the perfect pricing strategy. You know, a lot of the videos I do would be considered real estate tips, home buying tips, and home selling tips, all with the goal of expanding your real estate knowledge, which in turn helps you yield greater real estate profits. Speaking of profits, be sure to check out my video, 5 Surefire Ways to Hook a Buyer. Pricing correctly is critical, but it's only one of the components required in this 5-ingredient recipe for success. If you want to stack multiple offers with this simple rinse and repeat formula, take notes and don't miss a single step. Also, you've got to see 30 free and easy fix-its to get top dollar for your home. And when you really start looking, you'll be shocked just how many deficiencies exist. These are problems we've lived with for years and we just no longer see them. Just so you know, we're all born with that same set of blinders. I'm not sure why, but have confidence because you're not alone. What's bad is that buyers instantly see these deficiencies and they form the kind of impression you don't want associated with your home when you're trying to sell. I've witnessed entire property transformations by sellers who have followed step by step this 30 free and easy fix-it guide. This video comes with a free home seller checklist. It's worth the download. I'll be sure to add cards to both of these videos at the end. Now, as much as this video falls under the real estate tips video category, I would also class this as both a public service announcement and a whistleblower video. Sadly, what you're going to learn is quite common and may shock you, but the goal is to educate and empower you. Be sure to watch the whole video and learn how to recognize when you're being bamboozled so you don't stumble into your own house pricing nightmare. The whole problem begins with unethical agents trying to procure listing business by presenting a high selling price to their home selling prospect. Implementing a pricing strategy isn't just pitching out a high price to deceive a home seller, but it happens every day. The market momentum and performance is determined almost entirely by house pricing in combination with the pre-market exposure via the multiple listing service. There are several pricing strategies available, but there is only one that will help you sell your home fast and for top dollar. And that's the pricing strategy you're going to learn about today. Property pricing, it sounds easy, but keep in mind that the correct listing price and market value are not the same. When dealing with home pricing, every home seller struggles with the same questions like, what's the right price to sell my home? Should I price my home above the market and come down? Should I underprice my home? Will my home sell? You can have faith that you're not alone in these questions. When you decide to sell your home, regardless of the condition of the real estate market, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, the answer is always going to be the same. With over 1,000 sold homes worth of experience, you can imagine I've encountered a fair number of people that have complete disdain for the real estate industry. You know, the question is why? So curiosity sat in and I began digging into the psychology and the motivation of the players involved. And what you're about to learn is insider information no one talks about. This will provide you a unique perspective and a clarity into a common problem that tricks home sellers on a daily basis. You know, hopefully in the future, you'll be able to recognize this tactic as it's unfolding and root out the bad actors before you find yourself cast as an innocent victim in their web of deceit and deception. I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, we want the best players on our team. You know, understanding this will go a long way to help make the right choice when it's time to sell a home yourself or list your home with a real estate professional. So here are the players. We've got the seller, the listing agent, buyer's agent number 1, and buyer's agent number 2. They all possess different psychological and emotional dispositions. Now, sellers face a number of emotions and fears. First, sellers want to walk away with as much money as they can. That's a given. Second, there's a fear of loss by pricing a home too low and leaving money on the table. Third, there is a real legitimate question of trust in the real estate professional. Am I being told the truth? Does the realtor have my best interest at heart? As a seller, these are all real emotions and valid questions. Now, the agent faces professional and ethical questions as well. The first thing to be aware of is that real estate professionals, on average in my city, sell fewer than 6 homes a year. Now, there is a reasonable probability that many real estate agents are struggling financially, and that can lead to both emotional and ethical dilemmas, so be on your toes. Second, it's not lost on the agent that they need to make as much money as they can because they have bills like everyone else. Third, the agent has a fear of not winning the listing, so they must be skilled to lock it down. But listings are the bread and butter of the real estate industry, and every agent knows this. How each party handles these emotions and fears will determine which way the pricing conversation goes. Now, let's first talk about overpricing a home. Keep in mind, there are exceptions to every rule, but what follows is a typical internal struggle of an agent. So, the agent says to himself, all I have to do is justify a high price to the seller, and the seller will love hearing how much money they're going to cash out with, and I'll get the listing. This is called pushing the greed button. The seller will be on board because of greed. Sometime in the future, when the home's not selling, the realtor will say something like, "Oh, it looks like the market has shifted. Well, at least we tried a high price." Later, the listing agent, they'll drop the price, and the seller will be none the wiser. At the end of the day, at least the agent has the listing. The question is, who does this approach benefit? In all fairness, we're all susceptible to falling prey to the greed button. Just look at the lottery ticket industry. It's an easy button to push because greed is universal, and the real estate industry is no exception. This can, however, do great damage to the seller's market momentum because an overpriced home will languish on the market. Don't kid yourself, the market knows what the home's worth. Now enter the psychology of buyer's agent number 1. First, the buyer's agent knows the value of the home being offered for sale. Second, buyer's agents are almost exclusively paid on commission. The commission is earned only after the sale is closed escrow. If the property appraisal doesn't meet or exceed the contracted purchase price, there is a real risk that the deal is going to fall apart. Entering into a contract on an overpriced home often typically results in wasted money for the client on both inspections and the appraisal fees, and even worse though is the lost time. It's not only for the buyer and agent, but all the people working behind the scenes, the people you'll never see. Why would a real estate professional do this? Well, they wouldn't. Third, the listing agent is legally bound to keep the confidence of the seller and not to disclose any information about the seller's situation. So the buyer's agent is left to make some logical assumptions. Things like, why is the home overpriced? Is the seller jammed up financially? Is he upside down? Are there tax liens on the home? Are they just testing the market, thinking someone will randomly overpay and not need to get an appraisal? Typically, a good buyer's agent isn't going to waste their client's time going through all of the contract prep only to be shot down when a low offer offends the seller. There are plenty of fish in the sea that aren't overpriced, and as predicted, the home will languish on the market. Now, eventually, the price will be reduced on the home, but the price drop will be lost on buyer's agent number 1. There are so many homes available, and you couple that with the constant information overload, the buyer's agent will just recall that the home was overpriced. And that's the end of the interest from buyer's agent number 1. Now, enter buyer's agent number 2, who sees the home after the price drop. The agent says, well, The price seems reasonable, but my gosh, there are a lot of days on the market. There must be something really wrong with this home, otherwise it would have already sold. Ouch! The seller now has become a victim of DOM, or days on market. This creates FUD. That's FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the question in the mind of the buyer's agent number 2 is, why do I want to waste my client's time looking at a home that has problems? This assumption may be a totally unfounded conclusion, but in the mind of agent number 2, a conclusion nonetheless. And again, the home languishes on the market. Eventually, if the price is right, the home will sell, but there's no market momentum for the home. As more and more time passes, the seller has become frustrated and maybe even desperate. Then a single lowball offer rolls in. The problem is that the seller has no power, and more often than not will capitulate for less money than they would have had they priced the home correctly in the first place. This situation can be devastating for a seller, because now they're at the mercy of the buyer's demands. Things like accepting a lower offer, paying buyer's closing cost, repairing all of the nitpicky items uncovered in the inspection report. And as a special added bonus, the seller gets to enjoy the foul flavor of another sour selling experience. Now, what about the listing agent? How did he fare? Well, let's see. Here is typically how it plays out for the listing agent. A lead call comes in from a prospective buyer, and the buyer concludes that the price is too high, and the listing agent says something to the effect, "This home may be overpriced, but there's another home down the street that I'm sure would be perfect for you. I'll meet you there." The listing agent sells the home down the street, and it's just a simple rinse and repeat process. How do you think the listing agent might be doing so far? Why do you think agents do open houses? The listing can be sold only once, but the potential for new clients is limitless. It's not uncommon for an agent to pick up multiple prospects off of a single open house. This is called farming, and it's a standard business building practice in real estate. It's not sinister in any way, shape, or form, but this is the way agents fill their business pipelines. This is one of the primary reasons agents do open houses. But if the home is overpriced, the home won't sell, creating a perpetual lead source. How might the scoreboard look after 2 open houses and 60 days on the market? Maybe something like listing agent 3, seller 0. How many homes can a listing agent sell in the course of a listing period? The longer the listing is on the market, the longer the listing agent can keep a sign in that yard, market the home for buyers, and sell multiple homes off this listing. Real estate agents need to have active listings. Here's the problem for the listing agent. Once the listing is off the market, the agent is out of business until he gets the next listing. There is a vested interest for the listing agent to keep that listing as long as they can, and the seller becomes the unsuspecting victim. Now here's the problem. How is the seller to know they're walking into a trap? The problem is that the home pricing is not an exact science, and there's no legally right or wrong answer. But ethics is another story altogether. All agents that are members of the National Board of Realtors have agreed to adhere to a code of ethics governing the ethical conduct of all real estate agents. We've all agreed to these standards, and every 2 years, we are actually required to repeat the same code of ethics course over and over again, which seems a bit redundant, but the fact is, people are unethical not because they don't know what they're doing, but because they choose to be dishonest and unethical. If you think what I'm talking about doesn't really happen, check this out. Here's a screenshot of the Code of Ethics doc. I've included a link in the description below. There are 93 standards of practice or ethical standards to be followed and adhered to by the agent community. The first 2 standards of practice explains how the code is to be utilized. The third code is this. Realtors, in attempting to secure a listing, shall not deliberately mislead the owner as to market value. This is standard of practice 1-3. Of 93 code choices, the National Association chose this as the third code. So here's the thing. In order to secure a listing, most listing agents won't have a chance to get the listing if they are presenting an under market price. The standard of practice isn't talking about underpricing. It's talking about overpricing, knowingly deceiving a homeowner with blue sky and gold at the end of the rainbow nonsense. Agents are masters at pushing the greed button to get the prospect drunk on false prosperity. This is easy to do, and this is what the number 3 ethical guideline is talking about. The fact that this ethical guideline is at the top of the list is no coincidence, because the agent has a vested interest, a motivation in procuring the listing. You can bet this is the number 1 ethical violation committed with the unsuspecting seller as a willing participant. Clearly, this isn't an ethical practice. Is it illegal? Nope. So, as long as agents choose to be dishonest, this ethical standard will be violated. Hopefully, after this video, you won't be falling into that trap. So the question you have to ask yourself, is overpricing a home the best strategy when selling a home? Well, the National Association of Realtors doesn't seem to think misleading an owner as to market value is a good idea. Now, what about underpricing a home? Oh, shoot me now. For an inexperienced agent, this is tough to achieve. I mean, what kind of listing success do you think an agent is going to have when they're up against 3 other agents pushing the seller's greed button? Remember that old game show, Name That Tune? Yep, good luck winning that business. But when the agent has the opportunity to teach the seller, and the seller understands the psychology and motivation of the players, the truth will shine bright, and the seller's paradigm will truly shift. With this new knowledge, the seller now has a fighting chance. Underpricing a home is best illustrated with a deal I did a few years back. I got a call from a seller, and she said she wanted to sell her home, and all she wanted was $70,000, and if she could get that, she'd be tickled pink. I looked her home up in the MLS, did some quick comps, and told her the market value in her area was actually between $144,900 and $149,900. She proceeded to tell me that she's facing foreclosure and the home's being sold on the courthouse steps in 28 days. Shazam! Well, that does muddy the waters, and it does change everything. So I said, look, let's do this. Let's put the home on the market for $129,900. It's under market by upwards of $20,000. I expect we'll receive multiple offers. She was over the moon at the possibility and agreed to the plan without pause. So the house went on the market on a Thursday night. Friday and Saturday, I received 9 offers. I played one offer against the other and ended up at $155,000 cash, as is, closing in 14 days. Whose best interest is it in that house sold in 14 days? Clearly, the seller, because she had all the power. What's the scoreboard? Listing agent 1, seller 1. At the end of the day, your realtor is obligated by law to act in your best interest, and many are excellent at their craft and will perform as you deserve. You just have to be aware of those who choose to push the greed button. Don't fall for it. The bottom line, the market knows value and buyers chase deals. Also, if you feel like this video has been helpful to you, please take half a second and let me know with a like. It lets me know that you found value and that my efforts are making a difference. If you do that for me, I'd really appreciate it, so thank you for that. Have you ever been to an auction where 2 guys fight over a hammer and end up paying $35 for a hammer they could have gotten at the hardware store for $12? Hey, you get the idea. The behavior is somewhere between ego and insanity. What's crazy is that buyers do this all the time for reasons only known by them. The story I just told you is common. And if you have faith in the market, that strategy will put you in the same dominant position of power. Your goal as a seller should be multiple offers, and multiple offers only appear when the deal for the buyer is too good to pass up. This is the key to your success. Multiple offers lead to exceptional contract terms. Things like Buyer's offer price is well in excess of asking price. Buyer will not ask for closing cost. Buyer will often waive the appraisal contingency. Buyer will take property in present condition, no repairs. This could be worth thousands. Buyer will cater to your closing and possession needs. How does that sound? That's the benefit of underpricing and multiple offers. Look at it this way. If you put your house on the market for $50, what would happen? You think for a moment you would get only one offer, a $50 offer? Granted, this is a ridiculous scenario, but property sells for what it's worth, and usually for more when multiple buyers are fighting to win. The best method to collect a gaggle of buyers willing to fight over your home is to list the home significantly under market. Enter it into the multiple listing service with a pre-MLS status. This status is the same as coming soon. And watch the showings stack up in anticipation of the go live date. The buyers will pile in and let the games begin. An experienced agent will know exactly how to drive this ship and make all of your dreams come true. So, there are 3 key takeaways. Whatever you do, don't fall for the greed button. Property sells for what it's worth, and agents know the values and they want to get paid. Keep in mind one caveat. Market dynamics can change on a dime, and they do when there's a national catastrophe. I think back to 9/11. Home sales went dead, just stopped for about a month. Hikes in interest rates can shock the market. If this happens, just take your home off the market until the shock has passed. Also, be aware that interest rates maintain an inverse relationship to housing prices. When interest rates go up, housing prices go down. Keep in mind 3 things. It only takes 2 buyers to drive up the purchase price, and your home will sell for what it's worth. Indeed, it may not be worth tomorrow what it was worth yesterday due to market conditions, but you can always pull it off the market. Listen, with over 1,000 homes sold, take advantage of my knowledge. If you have a question or want a topic covered, let me know in the comments below. It doesn't cost anything, and maybe I can help you out. Check out 5 surefire ways to hook a buyer. Learn the secret to stacking multiple offers and driving up the price. Also, be sure to watch 30 Free and Easy Fix-Its, and be sure to grab that free download. Thanks for the like, and I will see you on the flip side.